when you look at what we all have compared to what these people have here, and they are the happiest, friendliest people I have ever met. They have nothing and they want nothing apart from a little bit of love and a little bit of attention.
There is hope, and where these kids are in lovely school uniforms, which they're incredibly proud about, and which they just adore wearing. You know, these are kids that wouldn't go to school usually, but through the charity they get an education and a chance.
I can safely say that the trip to Ethiopia with Ethiopiaid has been the most amazing and astonishing trip I've ever been on, and probably ever will go on in my life. I've seen things that I wouldn't wish anyone to see, but I've also seen things which has made all the fundraising worthwhile.
It's an amazing feeling. We've all spent so much time trying to get stuff together and not really knowing, kind of knowing what it was for, but not seeing what it was for, and putting these little bags together for them with crayons. All they've got is crayons and sweets, and they just look so happy. And it's just so nice. It's just made everything worth it. And I think if I didn't come back here again in my life, that's not going to happen. I have to come back. Reed's 2010 trip is consisting of 22 co-members from all specialisms and back office from the UK, the Middle East and Asia Pacific. So we've all come together, and this week we're working with a few projects. We've worked with Addis Development Vision, and they work within smaller communities to support the health and the education of the children. So the small communities where children don't have the support that they need financially to get a decent education and from a healthcare point of view.
Where we are today, this is a school, and this is given children like these a chance and education. The project funds giving individuals a skill. So we're working with out in the workshops, giving guys and girls a skill in leather making, in sewing, in woodwork. What are you laughing at? And literally just giving them the best start that they can. It employs local people to work back out in the community. So really linking healthcare, poverty, and a great start just to people like these. It's a fantastic course. Today we've been in the classroom, so we've been reading books, we've been colouring, we've been giving out goodie bags, giving out lots of treats, and literally playing with the kids, just the stuff that they don't get to do. You know, we were just told that by one of the teachers that today's their Christmas day. You know, they won't get anything like this again, so you know that's what makes it special.
great time with the guys here, all of the hard work, all of the stuff that we've collected for these little people. We've had a great time, really, really good fun. It's just so rewarding just to see things like this here at the moment. Kids coming in, playing and having a chance to just muck around.
Yeah, this vision was founded some 15, 16 years ago, in 1993, with the aim to improve the lives of disadvantaged members of society. 97% of our funding comes from external, from organizations like Ethiopiaid. So without external support, there is little we can do. There is little we can do.
Well, today we started off, it's been a bit of a magical mystery tour. We didn't really know where we were going or what we were doing, but we basically started off in ADV, Artist Development Vision, and they took us around through a few of their projects. We went to a lady's house. It was one place that really upset. It's kind of got to me is that there was this lady and she basically lived in this tiny little cul-de-sac.
This place is our one child. We have one child and she have cerebral palsy, and we give treatment to home visit, and our field worker Helen visiting this home, and we see that place.
Speaking to the guys from ADV, apparently it's only been in the last 2 years that family's been spoken to. The whole of the local community wouldn't knock on their door, they wouldn't speak to them because they thought that child was some kind of curse, or they thought it was, you know, that it was like a huge sense of embarrassment to them. And this poor woman and her grandmother, they have no income, they have no money, they have a one-room place, and this poor child is just that her legs were like, I mean, like, it's so thin that there's no muscle, it was just like these poor, I can't, and the fact that poor woman was like ostracized from society for so long for something that just shouldn't happen.
My name is Helen Aptamariam.
Field worker, no, supervisor.
I'm a field worker and also serve as a supervisor in the program.
Physiotherapy, no?
Well, I work on awareness, educate the community about disability. Her name is Qsanet ገብረ እግዚአብሔር. She's 12 years old. Basi program. So she has been following her for the last 6 years. She was not able to feed, to swallow things. She was not able to sit. Yeah, when feeding, you know, the family was putting the food in her mouth and was pushing it through fingers so that it can go in. Now her swallowing has improved. She can swallow, mainly in liquid form, and ደረቅ ነገሮች ትበላለች። She can handle now some carbs or some food item. Previously, the neighbors around were not letting the children to come to this house because of her disability condition, and the neighbors were also very reluctant to interact or to associate with the family.
በጣም ደስታ ነው የሚሰማው ምክንያቱም
Now very happy with my work because as each day I see improvements, okay? That encourages me to work more to improve her condition. Also the family is showing her respect now.
ለቤተሰብ ሰፈሩ እንትን ሲለ ደስተኛ ነው
As I left, I gave her a few bear, 50 bear is all I had with me, but it's £2. It's the equivalent of £2 in the UK, and she fell apart crying, like she was so upset, and she's thank you, and a lot of people will say like praise, you know, God praise you and praise God, and they it means so much to them, and it's heartbreaking, you know. It's really, and that woman is one woman who's actually getting help. There's probably thousands of other women out there with disabled children that are getting no help whatsoever, which is why what ADV do is just so important.
This is the only organization who come to my side and who gave me emotional and psychological support as well as material support.
My experiences to date, an absolutely amazing experience. Happy, sad, devastating, overwhelming. Too many words to describe it, I think. Today got me the most, I think, going to the Fistula Women's Hospital. I think I was quite ashamed that I didn't know about the disease. And just the work they do is just absolutely amazing. Just inspiring that these people give up their lives in Australia and the UK and come over here and just to make a difference. It's just amazing.
I've been here for many years. We came in 1959 to work at the General Hospital. And then we came across these patients and they broke our hearts. The last gynecologist that was here, whom we met when we arrived, said to my husband, "It's lovely to be here and you'll do very good work," but he said, the fistula patients will break your hearts, and that's what they did. 5% of all women in the world, whether you live in Europe, America, Africa, India, anywhere, get into obstructed labour. 5%. Sometimes it's just something very minor, like a full bladder, and the woman can't overcome the full bladder to get the baby out. But it's mostly due to a small pelvis and or a malposition of the baby inside the mother's uterus. Those are the two main causes of obstructed labour. The suffering of these women is very, very great. They're all from the countryside. They're all from areas where there's no help. Very few doctors will stay in the countryside because of the conditions are not good. They haven't got all the facilities that they have in the cities. And so it's very hard for them to get any help when they're in obstructed labour. Also, they're poor. They don't get much money from being farmers, wives of farmers. And so they come into labour and they don't expect anything to happen. And then they find that day after day goes by and they don't deliver. And finally, they deliver a stillborn baby. Because when the baby's dead inside the mother's uterus, it gets smaller and the bones get soft and the mother's able to push a stillbirth out. She's lost her baby and she thinks, never mind, maybe next year I'll have a live birth. But she wakes up to a worse horror, and she wishes then that she had died with the baby. She finds the bed soaked in urine. She finds sometimes the bowel contents as well. Mostly her husband will run away and leave her, especially if it's her first baby. A woman that's had 2 or 3 live babies, sometimes the husband will stay with them. But she will languish like this in a dark hut somewhere alone in the village, away from the other members of the community, because she's ashamed herself of her own condition. And she will hide herself away, and there she'll languish till death unless she can be cured. So this is the tragedy that's going on all over the developing world. And alone in Africa, there are an enormous number of these patients. We cried when the tsunami occurred, when 500,000 people died in that terrible disaster a few years ago. But every year in Africa, 500,000 women are dying in childbirth or pregnancy-related troubles. So we forget about them. They're just young women who are buried and forgotten. So it's a terrible disaster, and we have to wake up to this need. We have to do something about it, and we can. It was obliterated from the West in the beginning of the 20th century. They were common all over the world until that time. The first fistula hospital was built in New York in 1850, and there were fistulas all over America and in England until 1920. They were eradicated from England because safe caesarean section came in to relieve a woman who's in obstructed labour. We, of course, don't charge the patients any fees. It's completely free, and we have a big staff to keep. We've expanded now from a 40-bed hospital to 130 beds, and we have centres we've set up in the countryside, mini hospitals, 40 beds in strategic places in the provinces, to save these women making this horrendous journey down to Addis Ababa, which many can't afford. We make, it's really like a home for these women, and it's set up as a haven. We've got a beautiful garden around the hospital because the women sit out in the sunshine, and really in the hot days they sit on the garden and they just talk to each other and gossip like a lot of teenagers or early young women together. And it's lovely to see them, and I feel that God is behind this work. That is my main reason for being here, that I know I've been put here by our God in heaven.
In terms of what I wanted to get out of this trip, I've been really, probably incredibly lucky in my life, and I really didn't know what to expect. And a kind of a feeling, I guess, that a lot of what you see on TV is made for TV, and that these conditions can't actually be as bad as you actually do then see them for real. And I think the real point for me came probably sort of halfway through the second day, when I realised that actually this is very real, and that these are problems that people are facing on a daily basis.
When you actually kind of get out and see sort of the real Ethiopia, you realise it is actually, you know, quite bad out there.
This school is Hawaria Petros school, and we help this school for educational rehabilitation. We help the children with disabilities. We have many students with disability for these schools, and we also we prepare ramps, and the children, we have a wheelchair. We go to wheelchair, and we prepare or we establish the buildings infrastructure. Children without disability, they learn about disability, and they develop social integration.
happy and seeing them laugh, and it was great being able to sing with them and see what they do. It's great that the kids with disabilities are getting supported to actually integrate into the rest of the school as well.
You know, I've asked everybody this week, give me one word to describe today. You know, we've had overwhelmed, spoilt, humbled, emotional. It's really difficult for a lot of people when the first time they see this. Still shots don't do it justice, to see it with your own eyes and to have those children talk to you and to have those adults talk to you fills you with emotion. It's very hard for most people to deal with. The first thing I really noticed about working with Ethiopiaids, and especially now I've been here on a number of occasions, the Ethiopians and Ethiopia as a country, it doesn't want us or need us to turn around and show it how to do anything. It needs our support, and the charitable organisations give that in more than just a monetary way. All they want is just someone to help them. They have the manpower, they have the know-how, the funding that we help provide for them. Some of the skills we will encourage and we will coach with them, we will talk them through. And that's it, it's that simple. They don't want to be shown or led, they just need a mentor to work with them, to help them progress. Their economy is developing and the country is changing so much. And it's going to take a lifetime for things to completely do a full turnaround. But with a little bit of support and a little bit of guidance and encouragement from people like me and charities like Ethiopiaid, they can progress. You know, you give the man the tools to do the job, you don't do it for him. And that's what we do as a charity. And that's what makes us so special. And that's what makes our project so special.
Okay, when I leave, which is something you don't want to think about really, because I'm getting on a plane, my car's going to be at the airport, I'm going to turn on the heating, I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to drive home to my partner, walk in my door, so it's a time to reflect and it's time to appreciate. You feel very guilty going back, because there's only so much you can do, and that's why this is such a great cause, because there's only so much you can do. But I guess the hardest thing last year, and I know this year, is it's all the faces that you leave behind, because you know that when you come back next year, you're not going to see them. So it's reflecting on that and going home and just knowing that I've done my best, you know, and I've tried my hardest. But I know that I'm probably not going to see 60% of those kids again because they're sick.
This trip for me has been another reminder of why I do what I do. I'm going home full of determination, full of inspiration, and full of hope. Because I know that the next 12 months of fundraising are going to bring so much happiness and save so many more lives. And for me, that's the most priceless experience of my entire life.
And I guess the feelings of kind of apprehension and sadness have been overtaken really by a kind of hope and a real sense of kind of achievement in that little kind of wins and battles are being won all the time, but there's just so much more to do.
This trip has just made me realise that the slightest thing can make a world of difference.
The country of Ethiopia is just such a beautiful place, and there's a spirit that I think you can feel, but I'm not going to begin to describe because I don't think I could.
A lot to think about, a lot to process. Definitely a life-changing experience.
If people could actually get out here and just perhaps see how lucky they are back home, kind of raise awareness so much more. It's just such a beautiful country with so many happy people. It's just a shame that actually the poverty that they're in.
Ethiopiaid is a fantastic charity because it supports Ethiopia in so many different ways, and it's been a fantastic experience to be able to come here and see what the charity and the projects are able to do in the community. It's been fantastic.
Kick it.